Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And it really is a historic day today. You have the former First Lady of the United States being questioned in Chappaqua. You have the former president tomorrow. All over Jeffrey Epstein. There are so many stories out there. Who better to talk about all of this? And Gregg, Jarrett, Fox News legal expert and big best-selling author. Gregg, I mean, this is really an extraordinary moment. Hillary Clinton, and some of the excerpts have come out and said she doesn't even know if she ever recalled meeting Epstein. So what kind of information could they get from her?
Well, Hillary pulled the Sergeant Schultz defense. I know nothing. You know, it's what she always does, whether it's her shameful mishandling of Benghazi that caused 4 American deaths or her email scandal when she said, I don't recall, repeatedly under questioning. You know, it's hard to believe she doesn't really know anything about Epstein, who gave her money when she was fundraising, not to mention the hard evidence that Epstein was deeply involved in helping the Clintons set up their foundation, which they treated as their personal piggy bank. And then there's, of course, the photo of Ghislaine Maxwell at her daughter's wedding, and, of course, all the photographs of Hillary's husband palling around with Jeffrey Epstein, you know, hot tubs, massages, private jets together. So, you know, they may not have gotten much from Hillary today because she, as always, has an acute case of amnesia when she's caught. So I think they're going to be far more interested in Bill Clinton's deposition tomorrow because given the evidence I've described, his extensive personal contacts with Jeffrey Epstein, he has a lot of explaining to do.
You know, Gregg, Jarrett, one of the things that's interesting, I was watching them going into the press conference today, and one of the Democrats, I think it was Robert Garcia, California, came out, and he says that it made it sound to me, well, yeah, we're going to allow, the former president. That's a huge deal to have the former president of the United States. And they both, Hillary and Bill, both say they did nothing wrong. But they have them. And then he signaled that, look, our next person would be Trump, which they're already telegraphing if they get the House, that their plans are to go after, have Trump deposed. I mean, is there any circumstance you see that happening?
Sure. If the Democrats retake the House, then I envision a legal confrontation just like that. It's not really unprecedented. I remember when Gerald Ford, voluntarily agreed to sit down with an inquisitive Congress over the Richard Nixon pardon, and he did testify. So it's not unprecedented. That could happen.
Tony Carbonetti.
Yeah, Gregg, in terms of what you were saying about Hillary, you know, in every donor situation, there's some donors that just give you money, you never hear from them again. Then there are other donors that give you money and they want to be involved in policy and give their opinion on this. You know, no doubt in my mind that Bill said, I'll take care of these donors, Hillary. You don't have to worry about them. These people are a lot of high maintenance, and I'll have to go and hold Epstein's hand and all the others. So I'll give her a little, I'm sure she didn't know everything that was going on over there, but I'm sure Bill knew everything.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And look, pay to play is right up Hillary's alley.
But Bill said, honey, I got these. I'll take care of them. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of that going on with her foundation. There were hundreds of thousands of rubles that flowed into, the Clinton Foundation at a time in which she was exercising influence as Secretary of State over Russia. Was that a quid pro quo? Was it pay to play? Sure looks like it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And, I saw that they were also looking at the areas, too, getting back to some of the financial. One of the big things that's been so disturbing is what we've seen in England in this case. I mean, you've seen giving state secrets, right? So you have to wonder, what else does Jeffrey Epstein or somebody else know? And you've seen all these people. I mean, just in the last few hours, the head of the World Economic Forum, the guy who runs Davos suddenly resigned.
The guy from Harvard. I mean, it's
like all over the place, Greg.
Yeah.
When the crap hits the fan, it really hits.
And, it's ensnared a lot of prominent people from Bill Gates to Larry Summers, who, just finally resigned and walked off the campus of Harvard, and, the list goes on and on. So, there are a lot of people who are involved in Epstein's machinations, and they have a lot of explaining to do.
But where are the actual pedophiles? Why are we not getting the actual people that abuse these girls?
Well, it's an interesting question, and there may not be a lot of there in that. I've looked over some of these released files, and in terms of Donald Trump, there seems to be absolutely nothing, and it seems to be backfiring against Democrats and others who were ensnared in his web. So, whether or not other co-conspirators and predators along with Epstein can be caught and prosecuted, we'll just have to wait and see. But I haven't seen any of that so far.
It's amazing, Greg, as I'm hearing all this, and obviously if there was someone who was abused, these young women throw the book at these predators. If they did, there is no question. But I just see so much politics of this because the Democrats who had the White House, they had Congress, they weren't doing anything. They had these documents for years and didn't do anything. And now the only thing that's changed is Trump's in the White House. I agree, Justice, if there was somebody who did it, it should have been served years ago. These poor women have been waiting, and yet it seems like the Democrats back then didn't want to talk about it. They weren't pushing back then for the release, right, Greg?
Yes, and I have a sense that, they knew that this would boomerang against them, many of their allies, many of their donors, including folks in Hollywood. So, it is sanctimonious. It's hypocritical for them to, blame Trump for being slow to release the documents. But he did release the documents, whereas Democrats refused to do so, including Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's amazing. And here we are at this moment. Greg, thank you very, very much. We love having you on, Greg. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.